Hey, Laura here from The Unprofessional, and my kids have been hounding me for a long time to build a tree house in our backyard. We really don't have trees that will work, although I think we have decided on kind of a ratty old mulberry tree right on our property line. And rather than build a standard tree house, we're gonna build a series of platforms so that the kids can climb in the ratty mulberry tree.
Yay! And pick mulberries.
We'll pick mulberries. Hopefully no one loses a limb. That's a treehouse pun. I'm going to show you how I built the first platform, but keep in mind that your situation will be different because your tree will be different. The trunk of my tree is divided into three. I'm using the first two as the primary supports, and the third branch of the fork will provide a little extra stability. I decided to make it easy and cut all of my materials into 4-foot sections. I used pressure-treated 2x4s for the floor frame and 1x4 deck boards for the floor. My favorite screws were the 7-inch heavy-duty rugged structural screws. I also used exterior bolts, and I used quite a few 3-inch and 2.5-inch deck screws. To make leveling the two frame supports easy, I attached a small 2x4 to the outside of the trunk and leveled that. This way I knew I could rest both frame supports and be sure that they were level with one another. I attached to the furthest trunk first, and then I attached to the other part of the trunk with a bolt. Then I did the exact same thing on the other side, making sure that everything was level. I mentioned that I was using the smallest fork in the trunk for additional support, so I screwed a small section of 2x4 to the inside of the third fork, and it extended out to where the 2x4 frame support is. Then I attached those pieces together with deck screws. The purpose is really just for extra support. With the frame supports in place, I laid out the 4-foot 2x4s as floor joists. I had to weigh down one side because the overhang keeping the platform on my side of the property line was so drastic. Here's the part where I really earn my unprofessional title. Using two people, we align the 2x4 floor joists by sandwiching them between a front and a back frame piece. I'm not worried about 90-degree angles, so this is the quickest way to attach the frame together around the two trunks. We used two 2.5-inch deck screws at each connection point. Then I used both hurricane ties, and I also toe-nailed each floor joist to the frame support on both sides. Here's a look at the frame support with the frame and floor joists attached. I wasn't originally planning to keep the end support in place, but it adds extra support, so I put in a heavy-duty screw and just left it in place. Because the overhang was so far on one side, I knew I needed an additional support. I attached one floorboard under the end of the frame and cut a pressure-treated 2x4 at an angle. I'm going to support this here with this beam, and then it's just wedged into the tree. Right now it's not actually screwed in, which shows you how tight it is, but it is screwed in up here. So this will just support this upper deck so it doesn't collapse. With the frame complete, I laid out the floorboards, leaving space around the trunks, which I filled in later with smaller pieces. Then I attached each floorboard to each joist with a 2.5-inch deck screw. I trimmed the floorboards with a circular saw so that there was a slight overhang around the perimeter of the frame. I added a little step and a ladder made from odds and ends, and my kids were pretty excited, but of course eager for me to build more platforms. Hey, this is Laura from The Unprofessional. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe. And if you like this content, you can head over to my website, theunprofessional.com, for more.